Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome in. Thanks for joining me today. We're looking at our wish list for the next farming simulator game, whatever that may be called. After recent discussions with giants in the Farm Sim show, it sounds like things are progressing. It sounds like there's a movement forward on the next Farm Sim game, so we should probably start talking about, well, what's been done right with Farm Sim 19, and what are things that we'd like to see done better, or maybe new features altogether. So this is something we're going to talk about in this video. There's actually a couple of videos on this. We have a lot of items on this list to go over. In fact, we've already got 3 videos worth of things. So this is the first video. Make sure you guys check out the subsequent videos in this list, because we have a whole bunch of items to go through. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments of all these items. Did we hit them? Is there something I didn't hit? What else would you like to see? You never know. The community may check this out and put some of your suggestions into effect for the next game. It's always possible. And of course, guys, if this is your first time here, well, welcome in. Make sure you guys hit that big red subscribe button down at the bottom there so you don't miss out on any other future content. And of course, you know what? Slap the like while you're at it as well. Now, with all that being said, guys, let's dive into the list. But be aware, this list is in no particular order. It's simply a list of things the community and myself have come up with during live streams and videos on things we'd like to see to the next Farm Sim game. So let's dive in. First up, we have Seasons. Yes, of course. Seasons is not base game, and it should be base game. This is hopefully something we will see come base game on the next Farm Sim game. For those who have been in Farm Sim 19 from day one, you will remember the first few months there was no seasons. This is something we need to hopefully have base game. Of course, this needs to be turn offable. And what I mean by that is simply a toggleable setting that can be turned off so we don't have seasons on all the time. We don't wish to have it. It's great to have it when you want it, but you don't necessarily always want it. So having that as an optionable turn off, turn on, that would be fantastic. Is this something we could see? I think it's very likely this is something we're going to see. Don't hold my breath, but I would say on 10 K-bots out of 10, we'll probably see this in base game. Next up, an undo button for the landscape tool. Oh boy, guys, this is one of the biggest ones I think on the community right here. There's nothing worse than trying to edit with the landscaping tool and making a slightest mistake or accidentally changing your tool to from smooth to elevate or degrade, and all of a sudden having a giant hole or hill placed in the middle of your farm or area you're trying to terraform. All it would take would be a simple undo button. If we could have an undo button, that would fix a lot of problems we'd all run into with that tool. That would be something that would be very high up on my list of things to have happen. Now, what are the options on this one for coming as a reality for us? This is a little bit more difficult. It's not as simple as it sounds, unfortunately. I would give this maybe about a 6.5 K-bots out of 10. Vehicle damage. Now, this would be absolutely amazing to see visible vehicle damage to your equipment if you were to run into oncoming traffic, maybe down a cliff, into a stream, or rub against a tree while you're taking care of a field. Unfortunately, I really don't think that this is something we're going to see in the next game. Chances of us seeing anything like this in the next Farm Sim, I would say probably 1.5 K-bots out of 10. Console slot counts. This one here is for all my console friends, all those who play on console. Farm simming on console can be a bit of a pain because of slot counts. It's nothing worse than having to remove items off of your game simply because you are out of slots on a game save. Hopefully, with the advent of new equipment, new hardware that is out there now, new next-gen equipment, it most certainly seems like it should be possible. I'm still a little apprehensive, however. I'm only going to give this one about a 5 K-bots out of 10. Courseplay or Autodrive. Once again, guys, another mod that could be implemented directly into Farming Simulator. This would give us a whole slew of other options on letting our workers work various other functions around our farm, whether it be moving stuff around our shop to our fields, trucking grains back and forth from our silage to a sell point, or working in a silage pit. These would all be other options that would allow you to go back and work different areas and be more of a farm manager rather than just another worker. It would be fantastic to see this placed into the game. However, the chances of us seeing this, I'm going to think, are relatively small. I'm going to give this one 3 K-bots out of 10. More equipment brands. Now, this list could really go on forever, guys. We always have requests for other equipment to be included in Farm Sim, from Kubota, Versatile, Alice Chalmers, International. all of which have never been officially included in base game, and it would be fantastic to have a few other options so you could have your favorite type of equipment inside the series as well. Is there something I missed? Put it down in the comments below for your favorite brand. Ground Deformation. So think SnowRunner or MudRunner, driving equipment over the same path multiple times, causing ruts, causing mud holes, especially with rain. That would totally change the way you play Farm Sim. Now, this is something I would like to see so you could turn it on or off depending on how you're playing that game. However, this could totally change the way you have to think about getting into a field or getting into work a field and run a harvest. This would be a total game changer for some and would make things a lot more interesting on other aspects. What are the chances of us seeing ground deformation? I'm thinking it's pretty small. Once again, 3K bots out of 10. Hunting and/or fishing. Both of these I would love to see added into Farming Simulator. They would both be an interesting add-on, almost a mini game of sorts, just to change things up a little bit. Maybe give you some extra uses potentially for, well, even your horses. This would be an extra little add-on, something that could be added in. It doesn't need the exact depth that maybe some other games that focus on those areas, but just something to change up a few things and maybe make things a little bit different on certain aspects. So, what are the odds of us seeing this? You know what? I think this is possible. I'm going to give this 6K bots out of 10. Used equipment. This one, once again, very self-explanatory. Just a separate shop that would have, well, some used equipment that would come through it, because you know what? Farmers do end up buying a lot of used equipment, especially the smaller ones. There's very rarely they get to buy things brand new all the time. So having a separate shop that just dealt with some used equipment or used equipment that was older, that was damaged, that was no longer new at a discounted price would definitely change up the way you have to think and plan out what you want to buy next. And this would be a rotating list. You wouldn't have every single piece of equipment in there. Something that changed up day over day or month over month. So you would never be guaranteed to get the exact same thing that you wanted to get potentially. And you have to plan that out and maybe make some sacrifices when that one piece of equipment you just need to have shows up on the used market. That would make a very cool addition to Farming Simulator. Chances of us seeing this? Pretty slim once again. 5K bots out of 10. Customizable player options. So currently in Farming Simulator, we do have a few options. We have some vests, we have some colored shirts, we got sunglasses, and we got hats. Not a lot of other options, unfortunately. This is something that could be easily added on, and it seems like this was a plan with Farming Simulator 19. For some reason, maybe it just didn't get the time that it deserved. So this is something that could be easily changed and added onto in future games, and I'm hoping that that's something we do see as just a lot more customization so that our multiplayer games, we don't always look exactly the same. I think there's a very good chance we could see this happen. I'm going to give this 8K bots out of 10. Stock Tractor GPS. Once again, another mod that should be implemented directly in-game. In fact, any tractor that has that as an option to be purchased with GPS should have that in-game. There's no reason not to have GPS as an option on pretty much any new harvester or tractor that is current generation. This is something that can be easily added in and should be base game for vehicles, especially vehicles that require it or vehicles that come standard with that piece of equipment. Now, older equipment, I could see that being an option of not being allowed to have certain things. That would only make sense, but current day harvesters, they should all have that as an option. Chances of us seeing this? I'm going to give this a 7K bots out of 10. In-cab monitors. Now, this is something that's already done on several pieces of equipment. We already have workable monitors that you can see in first-person view. Now, this would be fantastic if it was upgraded to, well, say a purchasable monitor. You could put in almost any tractor if you wanted to. Of course, there's usually only one screen. Being able to switch screens potentially between the generic functions of the harvester, combine, tractor, or to switch it over to a GPS screen, or to see just generic crop information. Something along those lines would be amazing to see in-cab to, well, fulfill that immersion side of things when going first person. This is something that could fairly easily be done and maybe make it so it's customizable for each piece of equipment. You might have several different screens you could change or upgrade to depending on what you're driving. Easy options. Now, what are the chances of us seeing this? I'm going to say this is relatively slim. This is 4K bots out of 10. Proper row crop harvesting. So currently, row crop harvesting, there isn't really much difference between that and just general anything harvesting. You do not have to run anything down the rows. It doesn't matter. This would be an interesting way to make things a little bit more challenging, almost like a hard mode for harvesting. You actually have to go down the rows and line things up properly. Would be an interesting add-on, obviously something I would want to have turn on or offable, however, would change things up a little bit. For some reason, I don't think we'll ever see this, but I'll give it 2K bots out of 10. Base game global companies. Once again, another mod that was a bit of a game changer that's changed the way you can play Farming Simulator. Now there's a ton of options that are on the back end of it, but it really just changes the way you can think about progressing your farm. You don't necessarily need to focus on just your generic farm crops and animals. It gives you some other different areas to pursue that may be multi-stage processes. Now, what are the odds of us seeing something like this in base game for all platforms? Well, we've already kind of seen it in the recent DLC. There's some other options available to that. So this is something we could potentially see that might not be that difficult in the next coming Farming Simulator. I'm gonna give this one 8 K-bots out of 10. Name brand trucks. So just like people's tractor preferences, I think even more so truck preferences are huge. So seeing actual name brand trucks in Farming Simulator would actually be a bit of a game changer for some. I think this is a big deal, and the community does make a massive deal about having name brand trucks brought into it. Now, the odds of us actually seeing this seems to be about a 50-50 on some fronts. You never know. That sounds like there may be some headway made in this area. However, I'm not holding my breath. I still think this is something they're leaving for the modding community, and I don't think we're going to see this mates game. You never know. It could happen. I'm still going to be somewhat skeptical on us getting this. I'm going to give this 4 K-bots out of 10. Boats and ferry river crossings. So this would be an interesting way of getting around some maps. There are lots of areas where ferry crossings are required. It would be interesting to see if you had to accommodate that, trying to get equipment across on a ferry crossing, or even just having access to boats that work properly and were built for certain maps, or all maps for that matter. So this is something that is a bit of a wish list for sure, but I think it'd be an interesting add-on for sure. So the odds of us seeing this are very slim, but I'll give it 1 K-bot out of 10. Better animals. Now when I say better animals, I'm saying more realistic animals, I think is what we're looking for. Something that allows animals maybe to mature a little bit better. So we actually have calves, changing animal sizes, animals that behave a little bit more naturally, I guess. Something that where maybe they require different types of food at different stages of growth. That would be something that could easily be changed. I mean, we do have mods currently that do some of this stuff, and having them added into base games should be something that should be possible. I would hope and I would love to see that happen. What are the odds of us seeing this? I'm optimistic. I'll give this one a 6.5 K-bots out of 10. Scoopable ground. Now, how amazing would that be to be able to dig into the ground and change and terraform with equipment inside Farming Sim, whether it be a backhoe, a bulldozer, or just a front end loader. Just change the way the ground is, whether dig a hole or build a ramp or build dirt in game without actually having to go into a menu system. This would be very cool, very interesting to see something like this happen. Unfortunately, I don't think this is something that is very possible with the current generation, the current setup we have with Farming Simulator. Somewhat pessimistic on this one. Chances of us seeing this, I'm going to say only 1 K-bot out of 10. Everything strap downable. Once again, something that should be done with everything as is right now. Everything should be able to be strap downable. When you have a flat deck trailer, you have anything you put on top of that, you put down a strap. It should be strap downable. Everything should be strap downable. I don't know how else to say this. There shouldn't be anything you put down that should not be strap downable to hold it in place. Hopefully this is something that you can do in the next Farming Simulator. I'm hoping that absolutely everything we place down on that flat deck is strap downable, whether it be a train, a car, a plane, I don't care. I want it strap downable. Please make this happen. I'm gonna give this one, on chances of happening, 7 K-bots out of 10. Better mirrors. Once again, another mod that would make first-person immersion that much better in cab. Think American Truck Simulator. The mirrors there are indispensable, and we should have the same capabilities for our mirrors in Farming Simulator. Farmers use their mirrors an absolute ton to manage their equipment when they're towing anything through fields, and this is something that we'd love to see made a little bit better in pretty much every single piece of equipment we have available in Farming Simulator. What are the odds of us seeing this? I'm somewhat optimistic. I'll give this one 6.5 K-bots out of 10. Doggos in the trucks. All right, so this one baffled me from day one. Why can't our dogs jump in the trucks with us? Hopefully that's the end of it. I want to take my mutt with me wherever we go. So I'm hoping that next Farm Sim, our dogs will follow us wherever. They can sit in the truck while we're working a field, but I want them to be able to come with us wherever we go. What are the odds of us seeing this? I'm hoping 10 out of 10. 10 K-bots, 10 out of 10. So guys, that there will do it for the first edition of this list. We've got, well, several other ones that are going to be coming out in the coming days. So make sure you check back and follow us with those ones, because you never know. We might have some interesting ideas you haven't heard of before. If you have any other ideas, things you would like to see, well, slap them down in the comments below. Would love to hear from you guys. And of course, once again, don't forget to slap that like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will chat with you guys next time. This is Klutch. Over and out.